After thinking about where I wanted to go with this presentation, I decided I definitely want to tie in the pandemic. So I'm just going to talk about it for a little bit in the beginning, and then a little bit at the end, just kind of some of the things that we did and how we did in fact get through such a difficult time. Like I said, not only just surviving, but which we did plenty of surviving, but we did some thriving as well, because you're all business owners. There are good times and there are bad times. The good times are fun, the bad times not so much. So I'm going to use us as a case study, if you will, on how you can use your culture, harness your culture, and rely on it to help you not only get through the good times, but the bad times as well. But first off, a little bit about me. Amanda did introduce me, but I've been at the bank for 16 years, and it's kind of funny story, actually. I was like right out of college. I was 23 years old, living in Lubec, Maine, which I was never going to live in Washington County ever in a million years. And first place I landed was back here again. So I saw the ad for an HR specialist in the local paper, and I knew it was a long shot, but I wanted to, hone in on I wanted to develop my interviewing skills and things like that. And I thought, what the heck? Because I knew that I definitely wanted to be in the HR field. I had a business degree, and I knew that I hated business. I just, like after the first year, after I went to school, all the numbers and details and accounting and economics and finance, I just hated it, but I loved the human side of it. So anyhow, I was, like I said, 23. I went and I did the interview, and I still can't believe it, but they hired me. So I went shopping for some new suits and different things. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me to work for the biggest and best organization in the county, and learn HR and in a good department. So I literally showed up on the first day, walked in, introduced myself, said I was Danielle, and I was here to work for the HR department, and if they could, point me in the right direction to the HR department. And the lady turned around, she's like, "Oh, you are the HR department." So it's been a crazy roller coaster for the past 16 years. I started out $10 an hour and just have worked my butt off, and I've loved every minute of it. I've watched this bank grow. When I think a couple of years after I started, we were 500 million. We had 120 employees with, I don't know, maybe 12 branches. And of course, now we have 117, almost 2 billion, with almost 300 employees. So it's been a ride, and I've just loved every minute of it. Speaking of roller coasters, I saw this meme and just cracked up laughing because it's so true. It's been such a crazy year. The Corona coaster is ups and downs of a pandemic. One day you're loving your bubble, doing workouts, baking banana bread, and going for long walks. And the next you're crying, drinking gin for breakfast, and missing people you don't even like. And it just cracked me up because I think it just really is a good picture for what we've all been through the past year. So my first poll question is, how many of you have been on a Corona coaster with me? So anyway, it really has been kind of survival of the fittest with everything that we've had going on over the past year. So the whole moral of my presentation is just, again, to be able to rely on that culture to get you through as we have. And I'm going to use us as kind of a case study to hopefully inspire you, give you some ideas on how you can set up a good culture for your workplace as well. And I recognize that many of you are really small businesses. Some of you are even sole proprietors, and a lot of this isn't going to apply. But I still think that there's some nuggets that you can get out of this. I've been involved with small businesses my whole entire life. My family has had multiple small businesses. And I just think, especially for those of you that are just getting started, this is good information for you to have, as well as those of you that have bigger companies or been in business for a long time. There's some good kind of information here, because at the end of the day, this is all about how your company can thrive. And it's really been no secret that for MSB, our whole strategy, our business strategy is to rely on our culture and focus on our culture, where other banks, it may be, more brick and mortar or pricing or different, different asset liability strategies. Ours is to truly rely on our culture, put our money where our mouth is, because we know that if you put into your people, it's going to pay dividends every single time. So talking a little bit about culture, I love this quote by Peter Drucker, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Doesn't matter what your strategies are, how good you are at planning, how good you are at finances and numbers. It's going to trump every single time. So again, MSB's main strategy is to focus on our culture. The thing is if you don't work on defining your culture, it's going to be defined for you. You have a culture. You absolutely have a culture, whether it's just one of you, whether it's a group like this. And the thing is you want it to be something defined by you. You don't want it something to exist or to be created over time. That's where negative things can come into play. That's when you're in the hiring process, you can get the wrong people on the wrong bus. So make sure you take the time, you are deliberate about it, and you work on defining your culture. If you've done some of this work in the past, that's wonderful. If you want to start tomorrow or, 1-1, that's wonderful too. But if you want to have a successful business, highly, highly recommend that you put your time and attention into defining what your culture is. So at MSB, we kind of have 3 steps. I'm giving you 3 steps of a strategy on how to create, or either create, enhance, or define your culture. So these are the 3 things that we do. I'm going to talk about a ton of information here, and please just either slow me down or ask questions, reach out as we go. So the first thing is to put people first. It's absolutely no secret. Terry Swanson can tell you, Jess and Amanda can tell you, our number 1 strategy is to put our people first. You cannot go wrong with putting your people first. If you're in business, you have customers. If you're in business, you likely have employees. And we know that if we bet on our employees, we're going to win every single time. Happy employees make happy customers at the end of the day. Happy customers make profits. So when you're thinking about that definition of where you want to focus your energy and your culture, always, 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 no matter what, put your people first. And, that's including yourself. If you're a shop of 1, make sure that you're putting yourself first, that you're all in, and there's different strategies that we could talk about offline if you're looking for ideas on how to do that. I'm going to share a few with you here that you could do in bigger organizations, but you can never go wrong with doing this. So our culture is at the highest level defined by our 3-legged culture stool, we call it. So I know this was a pie graph because I'm not savvy enough to create a stool graph. So we do refer to it as the stool, the 3-legged stool, but it's the 3 key pieces: employee engagement, that's the putting people first piece, community involvement, and exceptional customer service. So I think if you take a step back, and however you're familiar with our organization, whether it's out in the community or you're a customer or you're an employee or you work with our employees, I think it's fair to say that you can tell, it's visible, it's palpable that this is what we focus on as an organization. So I have this, I'm going to talk about the second part, which is infusing purpose in a second. I have this purpose flywheel that I kind of made up one day, and I already kind of touched on it. And this is not, this is not rocket science. I'm sure this is out there a million different ways, but I was thinking in a senior management meeting one day on how I can get a few of our other senior leaders to click that, the employees are the foundation. So I described it as this: if you think about it, if you have happy employees, you have happy customers, you have, which give us profits. And what does MSB do with our profits? We put it back into our community. That's really, it's part of our mission. It's really part of our purpose, giving back and making an impact on our communities in many, many, many different ways. And of course, giving back to our employees as well by offering good job opportunity, career opportunities, good salaries and benefits, a great, work environment, that's where we put our resources, and it all starts with happy employees. So the second part of setting up a sustainable and thriving culture is to infuse purpose. And I'm sure many of you have heard this and read about it, but purpose-driven companies tend to be the most successful. We know that at Machias Savings Bank, our purpose is not to get up every day and make loans or cash checks or process payroll. It's more than that. We exist to make an impact on the communities that we serve. Our employees believe this, they know it, we remind them of it, we support it, we back it up. It's just such a huge part of our culture. If you can align the values of your employees and the values of your organization, everything's just going to be so much easier. So this comes into hiring, it comes into rewards and recognition, which I'll talk a lot about this, but you don't want your employees to believe that they exist to, make soap, for example, or to bake bread, which I got thinking about how all the awesome, like natural, innate reasons some of your businesses are that have purpose. I'm sure you're not, getting out of bed every morning to do these things. I'm sure that you have a greater purpose. So make sure it's clearly defined and you're aligning all of your employees with that day in and day out. This is just more about the flywheel that I talk about having our profits and our efforts and alignment go toward community impact. So some of the ways that we kind of support that on the employee side of the house is we built programs around it. So lots of organizations can say what their vision is or their mission or their purpose, but it has to be systemic. You have to build programs and policies and procedures that support it. You can't just say it. You can't just put it on a plaque on the wall or on your ad or on your Facebook page. You really have to back it up. So with the number of employees that we have and the access to resources that we have, we're allowed to do some pretty cool creative things. We have programs. We have this, cute little logo, Hours for Hours, where, some different things that we do is we recognize and reward employees that that volunteer in the community. We give matching donations to employees that donate time and money to their nonprofits. We have Casual for a Cause. Pre-pandemic, every Friday, employees could wear jeans and they pay a certain amount every week, and then that goes into a pool, and then they choose the different charities and fundraisers that they want to support in their communities. We have a huge award at the end of the year for the employee that volunteered the most hours or had a big impact. And there are some other really cool programs here I can talk about, but like I said, I lost my notes, so I don't want to misspeak. But the point is, the moral of the story is you really have to back it up. So whatever your purpose is going to be, that's what you're going to want to kind of put some energy in to make sure that you're going to make it stick. So again, our vision is building relationships that move Maine forward. This also comes back into community impact. This is just one of the many, many, many organizations and nonprofits that we support, the window dressers. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard or participated in this, but it's a picture of Chris Lyford, who you'll hear from later, and Melissa. She's actually our Vice President of Community Impact. So another example of us kind of putting our resources where we want to focus. And Charlene is our Head of Marketing, and Tracy Sanborn, I'm sure many of you know Tracy. She oversees all of that area as well. So number 3 is make it stick. So put people first is number 1, infuse purpose is number 2, make it stick is number 3. This is really the hard part because, like I said before, it's really easy to say what you want to do, and doing it and following through and being consistent and just having, programs and practices and philosophies and all of this consistently year over year, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of energy, but I promise you, it will pay off. If you focus on culture, it will always pay off. So one of the ways, or the major way, I should say, that we make our culture stick started a few years ago when we took some time to really define what it was about our culture. I'm thinking of Terry because I think I told her this story. We started this venture on culture focus, so to speak, probably 8 to 10 years ago. And culture's always been huge at MSB, but we just started to pay more and more attention to it and talk more and more about it. And it just started to get out there in the community and with our customers. And, even, reporters and things would ask us, well, what is it about your culture? Like, and how do you define your culture? And I'd literally be like deer in the headlights, like, I don't know. It's just something you feel. It's just something you feel. So we're like, okay, we can't get away with that for very much longer. We really need to sit down and define what we think our culture is. So we came up with our culture standards. So this is my biggest recommendation to you. Again, whether you're a shop of one or you're a shop of a million, you really have got to define that culture, and this is how you do it. We came up with these standards, and we call this is the way we do things around here. So when you're thinking about defining your standards or values, think about, how do we want to do things around here? How do you want your employees to do things around here? What's that brand that you kind of want to put out? So we spent, the senior team actually spent a long time putting it together and defining it. We went on our past, what are the things that have gotten us to where we are today? What are the things that we focus really heavily on in the present, and a little bit of aspiration, where do we want to go as well? Where do we want to kind of continue to focus our efforts? So obviously, and again, those that are familiar with our culture and our company, exceptional customer service was number one, attitude of our employees, effective leadership, act with a sense of urgency, our family first philosophy, community involvement, and relationship building. These are the things that we've always done well, we do great now, and we want to continue to do well forever and ever till the end of time. So we even, again, take it a step further. Don't just say what your standards are going to be. And if you're looking at doing this exercise, I would recommend between 5 and 7. You don't want too few and you don't want too many, because you want to be able to really focus in and put resources into all of these things. But like I said, take the second step to define what you mean. So for example, when we say employee engagement and teamwork is one of our culture standards, we defined it right out the best that we could. And I'm not going to sit here and read it to you, but one of the biggest things is we like to work hard and have fun. And we really do. Our employees have the strongest work ethic of any people anywhere, and they love to have fun. It's kind of our commonality where it's able to align ourselves that way. And there's lots and lots of ways that we focus on as an organization on ways that our employees can have fun together as teams. So then part of the making it stick piece is just building it into your talent management processes. So again, whether how big or small you are, you will have talent management processes. So this is my chart that I use. So the hiring process, onboarding, management, performance management, how you reward and recognize people, retention, people that you're going to keep around, because we take these standards in consideration with hiring, and we do as well as firing. Honestly, we don't lose a lot of people. Our turnover is super low, but more times than not, when we do cut someone loose, it's not because of a performance issue, it's because of the lack of a culture fit. You just can't allow non-culture fitting employees to work for your organization, because it cracks things up. It's like breaking up a foundation of a house. You have to make sure everyone's in line all the time. And then, workforce planning, all of these things, all of these HR things, you have to make sure you're focusing on those standards. So again, we ask questions, how are you involved in the community? Tell me what an exceptional customer experience means to you. All of those interview questions and through part of that process are derived directly from our standards and how they're evaluated, and how we all our rewards programs and everything are focused on nothing else other than our standards. So I think of it as a funnel. You have to take all of those internal processes, and not just HR processes, but external and operational and financial processes as well. You have to take them all and squeeze them through that culture standard funnel. Are they supporting your standards? Everything you do. It's a good exercise to do annually or even more often when you're taking a look at the way you're running your business. Are you supporting the way that you intend to or want to? And just reinforce it daily. Again, the hard part. As we get bigger and we're from Caribou to Portland, now we're all remote, it's really difficult to reinforce daily, but darn it, we try really hard. And some of the things that we do is we've built employee to employee rewards and recognition programs that are based on it. We have a Monday morning newsletter. Every Monday morning, it's delivered to all employees' inboxes that, just talk about things that are going on throughout the week, but it also focuses on our standards, and it rewards employees who are exhibiting those standards. Every Monday morning, we call it the 907, all employees gather in their departments and they have a quick team huddle. It's inspirational, and it starts out by reviewing our standard of the week. Again, if I had my notes and I wasn't on the fly, I could probably give you 100 more ideas on the ways that we reinforce our standards daily. And if anyone wants to contact me after, I could literally talk about this all day long. I'd be happy to. But there's ways that you can do it, and you're not going to be able to make it stick if you don't. And then this is kind of an obvious one, but tie it to results. So people are going to focus their energy where they are rewarded. So it's great to have measurements in place if you can. We've worked hard over the years to put measurements in place. We look at, we do an annual employee engagement survey. We participate in the Best Places programs. We do focus groups. Larry, our president, and I go out every year and do, we call them family gatherings, where we talk to employees about what's going on. We create plans around that information. And anyhow, we actually tie management performance to their employees' engagement, just different things like that. Everyone knows that on some level, their performance is tied to how our culture is operating. So these are just some funny pictures that I found when I was putting together the presentation. The top one on the left is one of the Best Places events, and you can see this is just illustration of us working hard and having fun. And the right picture is our senior management team at one of our rallies. And then I had to add this in because with everything different, with all of us being at home, we all really kind of suffered because we're so used to that camaraderie, but we came up with ways to stay connected and have fun. So the bottom picture is me and the other two women senior managers having happy hour on a Thursday afternoon. And then these are just some more fun pictures of different rallies that we've had. That's Larry and Chris Lyford rocking out, and on the right's the senior management team. And we just kind of crazy. And I just think about, I have to always share this. Larry said it when he first became president. He said it to a small group of us, and then it's just kind of stuck that we have no intention of being an average bank. And we really don't. We're such a cool, fun place to work. I'm running over on time, which is kind of stressing me out. I got off to a bad start because, like I said, I could talk about this all day. But so, like I said, good companies can tout their culture in good times. You hear it all the time. It's our people, it's our culture. but only great companies can tout it in bad times. And I've been touting the heck out of it because I'm so impressed with our employees and just our organization to get through the monumental, efforts that we have gone through in the past year. Just we spent time last year in 2019 creating a 5-year plan. We were off to a good start in January and February, we're going to conquer the world, and then boom, the pandemic hit. So we had to get our whole workforce at home. We had to deal with all of that stuff. We had to deal with whether or not to keep our branches open or closed. We had a conversion of an online system. We had the PPP process, all the SBA stuff. I mean, I could go on and on. All of these things, all of these challenges and hurdles that happened over the course of the past year. And then everyone doing it from home was just crazy. But we really focused on our North Star, which is our culture, and it made our decisions easy. I mean, on a hourly basis for weeks, we were making decisions about what do we do. And when you know what your North Star is, when you know what you need to focus on, the decisions were just a heck of a lot easier in a time of crisis. So we doubled down on our culture. We said that no employee will lose their job or a paycheck. We created an overnight robust internal communication plan. We put out an employee assistance loan for up to $5,000. It was almost no interest to be paid back over the course of 5 years through payroll deduction for employees that were impacted from COVID, spouses that lost jobs and things like that. We kept our doors closed longer than most of our competitors for the safety and well-being of our employees. Just rewarded people nonstop for going above and beyond. We paid time and a half for those that had to be in the front line. So again, we just really, backed it up and supported it and put our money where our mouth is, so to speak. On the customer experience side, we had instant social media messaging. We swiftly implemented remote signature, again, the PPP. We had record high mortgage volume, and we continue to have it. So we focused on our employees, we focused on our customers, and we focused on our communities. We gave out over $300,000 in grants to help small businesses and nonprofits through all of this. We helped out with food insecurity issues. Our employees continued to volunteer. They continued to donate. We got really creative and just, again, doubled down. It's easy to make decisions when you know what your focus is. So these admittedly may be slightly off because it was from October, but I'm just talking about results again through such a crazy rough time. We had 300,000 delivered to nonprofits, 8% of Maine's PPP funds, secured 160 million, impacting 2,230 businesses and saving almost 20,000 jobs. Businesses strengthened, and the funniest thing of it all, not funniest thing, I think it's wonderful, but our employee engagement scores increased. I was like, losing sleep. How are we going to keep everyone happy? How are we going to keep them engaged, being away and split and teams split up and some in the office and some out and working so many hours, and just the stress in society alone. I'm like, surely our engagement scores are going to take a dip, but they actually increased. And we did that survey in May. We got the biggest increase we've ever seen in 10 years. And I really think it's because our employees recognized that, we mean what we say, and employee engagement and family first philosophy is real. And that's what we doubled down on. So again, I feel like I'm just getting started, but if you want to continue success in your business, you can never go wrong with doubling down on your culture. If you want to get started or you want to tweak your process, I just highly recommend focusing on your employees, making sure they're aligned with whatever it is your purpose is, and work intentionally on making it stick. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years and years, and constant planning. We have a culture club that works on this constantly. We have awesome management, awesome employees. They're all working on it every single day. And, that didn't happen overnight. It's happened over a number of years, and you can't go wrong with focusing on it.